And welcome everyone. I am very happy today to welcome Stella Scott as my guest. And before I introduce you to Stella, or rather I introduce Stella to you guys. So if you don't know me yet, I'm Kevin Morrow, aka Mr. Mingle. So I'm a social catalyst and I help my fellow misfits uncover their tribe by seeing their uniqueness. But today is not about me. It's all about Stella and her very, very unique take on the world. And before I introduce you a little more, Stella, do you have a few words to say to our audience?
Hi and hello, and I'm very happy to be here. And if you have questions or thoughts about anything, write them in the comment section and we can answer while we're at it. Or if you come later on, you can write afterwards and you will still get a reply.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stella. And so I was very, very interested by your profile, by your about section. So very first, so Stella is an astrologer, a therapist, a coach, an opera singer, amongst other things, right? Amongst so many other things. So you're currently in Sweden, and you say something in your bio. So I know it's an unusual combination, but hear me out. Like you're very really owning your difference. Like, okay, this is not common. I already embracing my unusual take on things, my unusual combination of things, and that's something that really appealed to me. So we don't call it the same way, right? We had a little chat before we went live. So you could call it multi-potentialite. I call it multi-passionate, but we're actually the same kind of people that can't just focus on one thing their entire lives. Some people are amazing at that, being extremely focused, extremely like laser focused on one thing and mastering one thing only, or maybe a couple, and that's absolutely beautiful. We're not. We're like we crave for diversity. We want it all. We want many flavors. We want buffet style, and that is very actually not so common. And at the same time, I believe many people share that trait. So it really appealed to me. I wanted to mention that. And you also mentioned that you know firsthand the pain and frustration of constantly questioning yourself. And that is something that, I know so well, and I know so many other people know so well. Overthinking, self-doubt, really questioning yourself, questioning your decisions. That's something that, once again, many of us share. And the thing is, it's not all bad. It tends to be very heavy, very painful, but actually, I believe there are many beautiful things in it. So I call it turbulent from the Myers-Briggs test. It's how they call it. I feel it is very interesting choice of words. So turbulent is really when so it would be the other side of assertive. People that would be very assertive, but very straight in their opinions and beliefs and not questioning them. It's like, yes, it's straight away, straightforward, where turbulent tend to question that. Are you really sure? Are you sure it's really straightforward? And questioning their own decisions, etc. So I feel there's a lot of goodness in it, actually. It comes with a lot of pain, especially early on in our lives, but it can become a beautiful cornucopia, beautiful treasure chest of wonders. So I wanted to mention that as well. And finally, another thing that really resonated with me very much. So your mission is to empower people, so your clients and coaches, to embrace who they really came here to be. And as I am very passionate of uniqueness and really embracing how beautifully unique and different we are, so I felt we are very connected on that way also. So would you like to add something else before we start with the questions?
Um, I could say so many things here. One thing that you used the word focus, and you said something about not being focused. So I'm going to start in a completely different angle. I was born with club feet, which is a disability. And I went through a very painful childhood because of that. A lot of medical intervention, surgery, plastic casts, a lot of narcosis for my first 7 years. And I learned to walk 5 times. And I learned to focus. You have no idea. So this thing of being like multi, whatever you want to put afterward that, but having like a lot of interests and talents and this part of it, it's not either or. It's absolutely possible to have both, to both be able to focus very intensely on something and being interested in too many things to be able to embrace in one lifetime. Yeah, that's my style.
I love that. Yeah, that's a very, very interesting take. And yeah, it's another one of my favorite topics, the how our best test superpowers usually come from our deepest pains and struggles and challenges. So I feel it's very interesting that thanks to that hurdle you went through, you've been able to discover another superpower of yours, that you were able to focus on something very carefully and to balance your natural tendency to look at butterflies and, oh, I'm going to chase 15 butterflies at once. Let's go wild. Let's have fun, which is typical from the multi whatever you call it. Want to take just a brief moment to say hi to Alden and Jason that already joined us. So guys, if you're watching, if you're not too shy, I invite you to say hi in the comments. And if you have any questions to Stella, please do. We'll be happy to answer them. Or Stella will be happy to answer them. So feel free to participate, to join in the conversation. Just so you know, if you're on your phone, we won't be able to read your comments live, unfortunately, but we will happily answer them after the show. So let's start with the questions. And so once again, guys, if you have questions, you're free to come and ask your own. For now, I have my own list. So first, I would love to know, how do you navigate your multi-potentialite nature?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I very much follow what, so to speak, feels right. I get a hunch in what direction I want to go. Back to my club feet. I became a dancer, which is really weird and painful, physically painful. And I started my first company, which was a dance company in my 20s. And I also knew that I had all kinds of interests, but I had to focus and decide where to go. And in that way, I think a part of it is like actually making a decision. I have so many different talents, and I know I have a lot of different talents, but I have to choose. It really is a question of choosing, because I only have 24 hours, just about, in a day, like most of us. So I chose that, and that is because today I'm an astrologer, but that was one of the things that I had to put away. I cannot do astrology and dancing and Aikido, because I did Aikido for 10 years. And I cannot do all of these things at the same time. I have to choose. So that is still the same. It's like, you're gonna post something on LinkedIn. I have 300 ideas. I have to pick one at the time. So it's a question of one at the time, and focusing on one thing at the time. Even if I want to do 6 things in a day, like I'm going to do this and then this and then this and then this. So I'm not trying to like do everything simultaneously, even though it looks like that for people. But it really, for me, is a question of okay, I'm doing this now, and 4 minutes later, I'm doing this. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. It's a common pain for multi-passionate or multi-potentialites is to really like that deep hurt, and really it can be a physical hurt to have to choose and to discard options, to discard things, and really it would be like for people that never had that, it would really be, imagine you go to an amazing restaurant, buffet style restaurant, right? Once again, the buffet analogy, and like it's 3-star restaurant, and they have all the best food you can imagine. And actually, they have like 15 types of food that you love so much. But the thing is, nobody told you before that it would be better to starve yourself to death 3 days before, right? So you would have room for everything. So you had a light snack before you came, and you're like, okay, I'm already half full, and now I have all those many options, and I have no idea what I should go for. And you're like, okay, I will be smart. I will try to have a little bit of Indian, a little bit of Mexican, a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of French, and you're like, but it's so frustrating. No, it's not. It's not cutting it for me. So guys, if you never experience that, it would be more or less how it feels on a daily basis for multi-potentialite and multi-passionate. So at least it's how it feels for me and people I've connected with. But that I have the feeling you resonate with my analogy that it feels the same for you as well, Stella. So yeah, it's good to have tools, inner tools, to be able to navigate that and to be able to manage that, and to make it work for you and not against you, and seeing the glass half full instead of half empty all the time. So just wanted to mention that. We'll see if we might go deeper on that one, but that's the thing, because there are so many topics we could explore. So we will jump from one topic to another, and we'll see if we have enough time. And most probably than not, we won't, but we'll see how it goes. So it's still kind of connected, actually. My second question. So how do you leverage your many passions to guide your clients and coaches? How do you leverage your inner multi-potential light ET, I don't know, being a multi-potentialite, to help even better your clients and coaches?
Well, I have a capacity to see people and to understand where they're heading, or if they're not heading, but like where's a good way to head, and to pick up those signs and feels, hunches, something, and then help them to find it for themselves. I don't point them, go in this direction. No. It's really is a question of being able to guide somebody to understand where they want to go for themselves. And sometimes they realize that they thought they wanted to go in this direction, even though usually I see that they want to go in this direction, but I have to wait. So they go in this direction, and then helps them in a way. So they by themselves realize, no, actually, it's this direction. And perhaps it's 2 or 3 or more directions. So I've worked a lot with women in leadership positions of different kinds. And sometimes when they are in this executive position, they realize that they actually don't want to be there. They want to do something else. They don't want to be the boss. They're not that interested in, they enjoy the money, but the position is not that interesting. And just to be able to find out that this is not what I want to do, this is not where I want to be. I have other desires. Once I had a woman, and there's this company, and they have like offices all over the place, and she's the head of the Swedish branch of this. And she said, this is so funny, because I had another client that she used to call me my coach, the witch. because I could see and feel things that she was like, how do you do that? And I don't know how I do it. I just have this psychic capacity, but and it's real. But it's, after a while, she was going out, and we had a few sessions, and she realized that she really is interested and want to do tarot cards, which is not something you don't do if you're an executive. Then it's you don't talk about that, and you don't say that out loud. And she was in the hallway on her way out, and then she said, I want to be a witch just like you. That was so wonderful that she came to, all by herself with my guidance. She came to this point where she realized that I have capacities that I'm not using. And when I suppress them, I don't feel good. I'm not good. I'm not true to myself. I'm not me. I'm not actually me. So I also think that it is about being this living example to others, and just totally imbibe who you are. And when you exude that, you become a frequency, and that is a frequency that someone else can tune into. But you have to be true to your own frequency, so other people can actually come into that and feel, yeah, this is the kind of frequency. I don't want to be Stella, but I want to be in a frequency where I'm me, because she is she.
I love that. That's very, very powerful. And yeah, it comes to authenticity, to uniqueness, to really embracing who we are. As I mentioned, that something that is very dear to me. And I have actually my next question that is absolutely aligned with that. But before we continue on that, I would love to welcome so warmly our friend Maria Elena. And Luisa that just joined. So yeah, we are so happy to have you here. So we have our first audience question. So from Luisa, I will post it here. So how much does your intuition matter in what you do for your clients?
A lot. I have training, I have experience. I have experience both. I worked as a coach and therapist for 30 years, but I also have experience from life in general. And I have experience from stage because I'm an opera singer and a dancer, and I have an acting training. So when I take all these together, thank you, Maria, the intuition or the intuitive or psychic capacity, it becomes a part of how I work. I have this really weird capacity to understand and feel and see what's going on that people don't see themselves. One of my clients said in a testimonial that she heard what I was saying when I didn't speak. And it's also about, and this is the weird part, that I can feel, or whatever it is, what's going on or has been going on in other, in your ancestry, your grandparents, your grandparents' parents, or I can this sounds so weird, but I can even get information from your colleagues or your boss, or what's actually going on there. I cannot explain what this is. I've had it all of my life, ever since I was a child. And I've learned to cut it down. It's not on now at all. But when I'm with a client, I can suddenly just get this feel of something. And I move into this space. And then I just wait. And I tell my clients, I'm just going to like see what's going on here. And then I can get a feeling like something up here is, I don't know, it's like, and then perhaps a word comes out, and then the client said, that's what my grandmother used to say. I never used that word myself. So it plays a big part, but it's based in training and experience. And then I can, sort of speak, let that intuition or psychic capacity play on top of that. But I don't go in with that only. I have this firm foundation on which I work. And it's based both in therapy coaching, but it's also based in art and in the artistic, creative capacity that I have the privilege to be able to combine, both professionally and just like in life in general, as you were asking before, how do I know what to pick? It's part of this sort of like something's going on here, and just wait. And that is also one thing in today's society. We're not allowed to wait and see what comes up and see what comes into our sight or into our hearing, because we have like different capacities of getting that kind of information. So everything's supposed to be so fast, and it's like I'm a very, 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 very fast person. But when it comes to certain things, it's really important to know when and how to wait, to stop, and just see what comes up. What is the universe going to deliver, or what am I going to deliver from myself? So the rush that is always going to be so big and so fast, and so, that frequently works against you when you actually need to take time and see what are your talents, what are your desires, and what's not yours, what doesn't even belong to you. Who's this? No, thank you. It's not even mine. And very, very often, most of the time, people carry around things that aren't even theirs, present company included. But we also carry around with us things that come from our ancestry. That it says my ancestry is also talking to me. So it's not only other people's ancestry; it's also my ancestry. Things that I'm not even aware of, that I didn't even know, and I have a lot of that going on right now. Because there is something called epigenetics. It's when they started to talk about epigenetics, it was like, oh, it's woo-woo, and now it's a scientific field. Epigenetics is for real. We remember things with our whatever that is, that comes from other generations previous to ours. Yeah, I could talk forever about that question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, like intuition, of course, you could go for hours. So thank you for this beautiful answer. And hey, Natasha, thank you for joining. So always so happy to see you. And yeah, I knew this topic would really interest you and resonate with you. And yeah, so what you mentioned several things that really triggered my curiosity, and I just want to explore a few of those, at least real quick. So yeah, I love that you mentioned patience, and yeah, I feel it's probably one of the biggest lacks of our modern society, that people don't know how to be patient anymore. And it's really hurting us deeply, spiritually, I believe, very deeply. And there's you might know that man, Rich Litvin, a very famous coach, master coach, and his motto and his most famous quote is "Slow down to speed up." And this one is incredibly wise and powerful. And I just went from exactly that kind of time of my life when I slowed down and I didn't push myself to the things I was supposed to do. And I was like, now it's time to go deep and reflect and really like go. And I feel it's very interesting how it's close to nature. And I love that analogy that winter is necessary for spring to come. And yes, winter seems still and dead and full of decay and rotten things, but still it's so very necessary. And all too so often we expect things to grow faster than their natural pace. But you can't grow a tomato faster than it's supposed to. Well, actually, nowadays we can because of modern science, right? But usually the tomatoes are not so good, right? We know how it hurts the food, the nutrients, and that it's not working on the. Yeah, all in all, it's not working. We make it happen faster, but definitely not better, at least for most things. And I love also what you mentioned, that you don't really know how it works, and people around you don't really know how what you're doing work. But actually, like if I ask you, do you know how a fridge work? Do you know exactly, how all the different pieces of the fridge make it function? And still you use a fridge. And I believe everyone in this call would be unable to tell us how a fridge really work. And to be honest, I believe most of us really wouldn't even care. What we want is it's working. And it would be like it is the typical cliche example, but how could you explain how quantum physics work? There's no way. Yet our phones exist thanks to that. Our laser beams exist thanks to that, and so many other things. We can't prove quantum physics, but it's still a science, and we use the fruits of that in our daily life. So why couldn't astrology or other spiritual mediums, other spiritual beliefs and practices could work? If some people decide it's not for me, that's fair enough. They get to choose, but it doesn't mean it's not working. So yeah, I feel it's quite fascinating that we rely sometimes too much on understanding how it works when actually we have beautiful proofs that it is working. Like I can't explain to you why qigong work. I'm a qigong practitioner, and I can't explain to you physically, scientifically how qigong work, but I know in my body that it works much better than my dance stretch routines that I did for decades, that I dropped overnight and replaced entirely by qigong. Because that stuff worked when those routines never really did their work. So yeah, I feel it's very, very fascinating how we rely way too much on understanding the process when sometimes just trusting the process and enduring the fruits is all we have to do, and with patience, ideally. So really love the what you mentioned. So maybe you want to comment on that, or maybe you want me to continue with the questions, whatever you choose. Or guys in the audience, once again, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them.
Yeah, I just come with one comment there. Is this thing of waiting in Gestalt therapy, because I'm a Gestalt therapist. Hi, Natasha. There is this. There are many sayings, but one of them is lose your mind and come to your senses. And for me, that is very physical. That your physical body. I used to say that your body is your spiritual vehicle. So the body is very important. Some people would talk about the body. Oh, it's all the spiritual that is important. Your body doesn't matter. And I call BS on that one. Because if your soul, or whatever you want to call it, didn't want to be in a body and have a physical experience, it wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. There is only one reason you're here, and that is because you have the body. You have to experience life with your body. And when we don't do that, or force the tomato to grow too rapidly, it will not become a good tomato. It will look like a tomato, but is it really? And it's sort of the same thing for me here with the body. Lose your mind and come to yourself. Come to your body and trust that your body, if you just give it time, will give you the information that you need to move forward. Your body remembers everything. It even remembers things from your past ancestry. Everything. All the way down to the, when you were a little blob somewhere in the beginning of the creation of Earth. So yeah, that is just what, when it comes to patience, that be patient and trust your body, that your body is actually here on a spiritual journey. Because this is the only reason you're here. Be very mindful of your body. Now I have my history with my feet. So that has also created, of course, a very special relationship for me with my body and with patience, because if I had not been patient, I would not walk today. I had to be patient. And I had to go through that physical pain. There were other pains in my childhood too, a lot of them. But that was, when it comes to the physical, but I'm just so grateful that I can actually walk and do whatever, sit here with you on a chair. So I want to add that, because I think that the body has lost some of its importance, and it's all, you know, it's fillers, and it's, you have to know, do your yoga because you're going to be more, it just becomes stressful. You know, if you want to do yoga, if you want to do tai chi, if you want to go to the gym or the tango, or just lie down on the flat earth, trust that your body will tell you what it needs to be as faithful a companion on this journey as possible.
Yeah, thank you for that one. Yeah, that's very, very powerful. And as a former dancer as well, so obviously I totally relate and totally connect with what you mentioned. And yeah, and actually it's fascinating, right? There are so many spiritual practices, so many spiritual ways and paths and teachings. And so, yeah, it makes sense that some of them won't agree on very important matters. But I'm totally with you with that. Or, you know, it's like the mind with the iconic monkey mind from the Buddhists, that you have to be extremely cautious. When, yes, you want to be cautious with your mind. At the same time, our mind is our best ally when used right. You can create whatever you want with the power of your mind. Like, the reason why humankind is at its point is because of very massive and powerful brains and minds to come with that. So yeah, I feel that some things like that have a bad rap, and yeah, we might. Well, it's up to us to decide if we accept those truth, quote unquote, as they are, if we want to question them, and yeah, maybe create a new path for ourselves. So yeah, I feel it's very, very important, and actually, it's kind of linked to my next question. I wanted to know, how do you nurture your own uniqueness or that authenticity, or whatever you call it, and how you help others embrace their own uniqueness and really be themselves, be deeply spiritually and more themselves, deeply aligned.
When I started my therapeutic healing journey, I had so many ideas of what was going on, and I was not right about many of them. But one thing that I did, and it was a very painful time, because I had to like dig up things that I had built my life on to be able to survive. And then I had to like dismantle that survival kit. And so I had one exercise that I created for myself, and I would stand in front of the mirror and just look myself in the eye for 10, 20, 30 minutes. I would just stand and look myself in the eye and wait until I didn't really know what. And it took about 6 months. And one day I actually saw what I looked like. And I saw that I was beautiful. And before that, I thought that I was like, not ugly, but mediocre, plain, and nothing special. But what I saw was something completely different. And that was like, I saw a truth about myself that I had denied out of different reasons. And then I cried for 3 days. I cried for the 14-year-old. I cried for the 4-year-old. I cried for the young woman. And I also cried because I was released from some kind of burden, where I tried to make myself smaller. It's difficult to understand now when you see me, but I really tried to gray myself down in the way I was dressing or makeup. I was just trying to like make myself as little visibility as possible. I used that on stage, but as soon as I got off stage, I tried to like just disappear. So that when I saw that, I realized I am a very visible person. And what I give to my clients is that they have to take time to let themselves come to the surface. And that can be very painful. As I said, I cried for 3 days to realize how much you have been pushing yourself away, your talents, your looks, your body, your inspirations, your attractions, all of those things and more that you have tried to push away, and to allow them to come into the center and be you with that. And that, again, I'll come back to being my full as much as I can right now, because 20 years down the line, there will be more of me because I'm still a constant work in progress, a constant evolvement and development in progress. And I also used to say that people say, oh, I want to be my full potential. Well, that's not possible here, because my take on it is that you become your full potential and you disappear. You into whatever that is. I think we're here to explore what it is to be here in physical experience. And when we're done, we don't have to be here anymore. We're just little light particles. And that was that. Thank you very much. So this thing of being in constant involvement and allow yourself to not know what you don't know, and also allow yourself to know what you know, and embrace that fully. And the more I allow myself to know what I know, and at the same time allowing myself to not know what I don't know, because I cannot know what I don't know. Certain things are still in the shadow. Oh, that brings me to another point that I find so important. People talk about shadow work a lot. And the shadow work is always dark and gloomy and horrible. And so you have to find those parts of yourself that are in the shadow. But the thing is that my shadows, my appearance was part of the shadow. Shadow. So some of the things that are in the shadow are your talents, your beauty, your inspirations, all of those things that are fantastic about you are also, this is my grandmother's, are also in the shadow. So the shadow work is not just about things that are bad. The shadow are things that you don't see, and some of them are glorious. And they want to come up and be honored by you. And if that is the way you look, as it was with me, many things happened in those 6 months, of course, but that was the one that was so striking to me, that I had put my own looks into the shadow, even though I was looking at myself in the mirror. And I was a dancer, so I was standing since I was 4. I had been in front of mirrors every single day, just about, and seen myself, and I fell short to my own eyes constantly. And just realizing I had not seen me, because I was in the shadow, or I had shadows in front of me, so I could not see myself.
Well, that's fascinating. I really, really love your take on that. I feel it's a very powerful topic as well. Yes, many people talk about that, that shadow work, at least in some, spiritual circles. And yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a complex topic. Let's say there are many takes on it and many ways to interpret that. And just fun fact, I forgot to turn the lights on, so I had a literal shadow, coming across my face for a few minutes. So it's very interesting. So at some point I might become too dark. Maybe I will go and light up. But it was interesting how I was physically accompanying you during your talk about shadow work. So I was like, interesting, and yeah, just wanted to highlight what Jason mentioned earlier. So on a different topic, right, when he was acknowledging your capacity to see people and helping them see themselves. So I feel it once again, it works really well that you've been able to see yourself, and maybe despite of the shadows, and maybe even thanks to the shadows in a way, and kind of seeing the beauty of the shadows as well. So it's very, very interesting. I won't go to. I could go for hours on that one also, and like I have a huge analogy coming. Because that's the thing. So interestingly, so I don't know much about Western astrology, to be honest. I know a little bit, but not that much. I know much more about Eastern astrology, and so next Saturday for me it's New Year, right? It's the Wood Dragon. So to me it's a big event, a big turning page, where maybe it doesn't mean much to you. I don't know, but it's interesting. So I was very curious to learn a little more. So we probably won't have much time to really go deep into that, but we'll see. Maybe we'll have more questions. So folks, if you have any questions for Stella, so we have around 20 minutes left, so now is the time. Feel free to ask anything about embracing your authenticity, working with your shadows and discovering their beauty, hidden beauty, or about astrology, about opera. We haven't talked about your life as an opera singer yet. Yeah, because once again, so many things to cover, right? So we'll see. But for now, waiting for potential questions from the audience. I would love for you to, see, do you have any advice to a fellow multi potentialite or passionate, whatever you want to call it, pips that are struggling to navigate social situations and find their place in the world? Because actually being a multi-potentialite can be an issue and really stand in the way we go all fluffy in many directions, and sometimes stay kind of superficial on some topics. So it might become a struggle for some people, and or if you'd rather share some strategies or tips that you wish you knew back when you were a baby multi-potentialite.
That is I think that is difficult. I find it difficult because in my own experience, it's lonely. There are a few people that get that kind of should I call it like attitude towards life, or that kind of talent, because it is a talent at the same time. And my experience is that it is, oops, did I disappear? My experience is that it's lonely, and I have sort of learned to navigate my own experience, and I have a few friends that actually get me. And when I started my in this period, when I started my therapeutic journey, was I had this fantastic, I'm ever grateful. I mean, I always choke up when I talk about him, Per-Erik Sjögren. He saved my life. And he said in one session, he said, "Stella, you're unique." And I said, well, everyone's unique, because that is what you're supposed to say. We're all unique. And then he said, but Stella, you have a unique way of being unique. And I was like, no, what? What was that? So I was in the beginning, I wasn't even 30 yet. I was 25, 26. And that was so like, it really shook my world that I was different. really different. So different that this amazing man said that I was different. And with that, I had to take so much time. And it's not until I was a few years ago, like in my late 50s, that I sort of could embrace this whole thing of I am different. And when I signed up for Facebook, I think that was 2007, it was write a little note, introduce yourself. And I wrote, different, comma, that will do, period. It has remained the same because it never changed. And by that time, I had not really embraced how different I am. But today I know I am very different. I'm different from just about anyone. I was different when I was a dancer. I'm different as a opera singer. And also I know that I cannot work the same way other astrologers do. I just can't. It's not possible, and that's fine. So it's in some ways, if you have the privilege of finding one or two people that gets you, they don't have to be like you, but actually get you and allow you to be just who you are, without trying to be, oh, I'm just like you, because 9.6 times out of 9. They are not like you, even though they say that, even though they want to be like you, they are not. So just allow for people to, is this mine? I think it's mine. I don't know why. It looks like I bleep out. People want to be like you because you're interesting and you're quirky and you're different and you're inspirational and everything. And they say that they are like you, but they're not. And just allow that to be, and hopefully you can find some people that will just allow yourself to be yourself. Just be in that space. And I have had the privilege of having a few of those. That's okay, I'm not different, but you are. And I just allow you to be as different as, and it's such a relief to be in that company. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to try to understand people or play back. You can just be all of that, whatever it is, and whatever comes out of your mouth comes out of your mouth, and they will just be like, I don't understand what you're saying, but fine. That is the only advice I can give you, to allow yourself to be that different and search and hope for finding some people that will just allow you to be you without questioning, without trying to be like you or change you.
I love that answer so much, and thank you really for that one, because it's a very, very important point. Especially like about social relationships. Many people try really to find like-minded people, and there's nothing wrong with trying to find like-minded people. It's amazing when we find those people that obviously won't be exactly as we are. As you mentioned, we are way too unique. We are like snowflakes. And I believe even snowflakes, are kind of similar sometimes to others. We are not, like, we are widely different, all of us, but still close enough so you can relate on meaningful points. And I love that distinction, to have like-minded people around you, and also complementary people that are different, people that are bringing diversity. And for people like you and I, the multi thing, we want diversity. So we welcome those people with open arms. But they are different, yet open-minded. They are open to the fact that you are widely different from them, and that's okay. And they don't want to change you. They don't want to turn you around and transform you into a cookie cutter version of themselves. They just embrace you as you are, and they want to bask in your very unique and quirky light. And I feel it's beautiful. I love that you found people like that. So I really enjoyed your answer. And hey, Jackie, so good to have you once again. So happy to see you. And so yeah, just wanted to highlight real briefly Jackie's comment. And then we have a new question from Louisa. So we have 10 minutes to go before we wrap up, but I'm really happy to to share with us new question, and that one might take hours to be really answered properly. So we will go with the short version, obviously. So how does a person's zodiac sign influence their life and career? Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, Luisa, let's see now. When you say a person's zodiac sign, you mean their sun sign. And I say, yeah, the sun sign is part of it, but you are so much more than your sun sign. And it depends on how your sun sign is positioned and what planets are there in close proximity to your sun sign. If it's in, I use the whole sign system, which means there's one sign per house. I'm not going to be technical here, but so if you, let's say you are a Virgo, if you have only the sun there, then that's one thing. But if you have another 3 planets, so all in all, you have 4 planets in Virgo, that gives you a completely different vibe about your Virgoism. And depending on in what house it is, if you have your Virgo in your 4th house, which is the house of your home and your ancestry, it has another influence than if it is on the other side, which is the 10th house that has to do with your career and your public reputation. So it really depends on where it is and how it is relating to other planets. Because let's say it is alone, but it has a lot of challenging relationships to other planets, that creates one type of influence. But if it has an easygoing relationship, that's another type of influence. And the easygoing might not be something that you can actually grasp and understand because it's so easy for you. I have that in my chart. I have a grand trine in water, and it was not until I no, that's not really true. Okay, I have to back off. I didn't understand some of my talents. I just had them, like that I was talking about before, this psychic capacity. But when I looked into my chart, I realized, oh, this is where it comes from. It's been so easy for me. It's so natural ever since I was a child. It's always been there, that I didn't really see it as something special, something spectacular, something that other people will say like, oh, I'm in awe. And so that can also affect how your sun sign is affecting you. But a part that I find really important is your rising sign, which is where the door in and out, so to speak, to you, and the door in and out for you to the world. And that is what puts the rest of the houses in place. So if you have your sun there, that gives a completely different vibe than if you have your sun in your 4th house. I feel like technical, but it's a question that can only be answered by looking at someone's chart. How much does it, and in what way is it influencing your life and career? Because it is always influencing your life and career, of course, but it cannot be answered that this is what your sun sign is doing to your life and career. And also, as a side note, life and career, are they different? I used to say my life is my hobby. I cannot live. I've never been an employee because I can't. I tried when I was 16 for a short time, and there was like, whoopsie daisy, I cannot have someone telling me when to come and go. So it's also like, for me, career, job, work is something that is so important that it really is life, because we spend so much time working. It doesn't matter if you're a nurse or an opera singer, you're still working. So life and career is, for me, like they go together. And how can I make them put them in harmony with each other? And that way you can really get help from looking at the chart and understanding what's going on in my chart and what are the talents that I didn't even know I have, or putting on the back burner. I think, oh, it's not that important. That's so easy. It's not really important. And then realizing that, whoops, that's the most important thing. And then also how you look at what the angles between the different planets. What kind of angles are there? If you have a lot of challenging, like squares, that means it can be a lot of difficulties, but also without those difficulties, you will not be able to move. I was born with a disability, and that made me strong. It made me resilient. It gave me focus, the capacity to stay on the goal, with the eye on the goal. So without that, things would have been very different. So that was a great, enormous challenge. So it's that when we talk about challenges and squares in a chart, people say, oh, it's so difficult. But without those challenges, we do not grow. And everyone, even if you have like an easy chart, you will run into those squares eventually, because the planets are constantly moving in different ways. So I feel that people are very hung up on their zodiac sign as the sun sign, while there might be another sign that is actually even more important. I had a young person, he was like in his 20s, and he was fixing my bicycle, and I had to go back and forth several times. And after a while, I was thinking, why is he working here? There's something so Gemini about him. I don't know what it is. And then I asked him, what? And he said, Scorpio sun, and it was not anything. I said, do you know when you're born? And he said, yes. And I got the exact information. I have something that on my phone that I can calculate right away. And he had 4 planets in Gemini, not the sun, but he had 4 planets in Gemini. And I could feel it. It's here. What is he doing in this bike shop? He shouldn't be doing something else. So that was just funny. I don't know if that really answers your question, but I think it says something about the complexity of astrology and how much you can use it to understand yourself better. For me, it has been amazing in understanding who I am and where certain things comes from. But I also want to say that with age, you also mature into things that could be faster if you actually had a grip on your chart. But with age, certain things is like, oh, I see. And now I get a lot of confirmations from my chart, but I also see that there are things that, oh, I have this. But when I looked into my chart, I could see like, I didn't understand certain things. I was not bullied as a child. I had every reason in the world to be bullied, and I was not. And then I took a class with one of my mentors, Rick Levine, about harmonic aspects, which I have been interested in ever since I started. And from there, I understood, oh, my quintiles saved me from bullying. So that too can like give you like answers to things. I'm like, why? How? Why? I don't understand. But yeah, okay. So I think I digressed.
No, that was very interesting. So Louisa, my invitation to you is if you want more precisions, just reach out to Stella. She will be happy to give you some pointers. And I feel, yeah, it's very interesting what you mentioned. And so astrology is one way to see things. There are others, right? There are other ways to understand you better. But I feel, yeah, astrology, whatever, whether it's a Western or Eastern, can give you extremely powerful ways to understand you better and be better equipped to navigate the world and interact with others, and maybe understand why that, like that, exactly as you mentioned, why that job that you're supposed to do actually doesn't fit, it doesn't work for you. Like maybe everyone else in your family has done that and done amazing things, and maybe you're not just cut for it for whatever reason. And there's nothing wrong with that. It means you're beautifully cut for something else. You don't have to keep being stuck in something you don't enjoy and doesn't feel fulfilling. So yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, unfortunately, guys, we have to wrap up now. It was all about the passion, but I know you have very interesting things cooking up right now, Stella. So maybe if you want to take a few seconds to explain briefly what's going on, what you're preparing. So guys, if you want to connect with Stella, here's her handle on LinkedIn, or you can directly click on her link on the event. And Stella, let us know what's cooking.
What's cooking? Yeah, if you contact me and if you want to be connected, please say that it's through this means. I'm sort of a little reluctant to just like click yes, accept everybody. I don't, and it can take some time. And I also want to. I usually visit people's profiles and then I ponder a little bit. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. I'm not a Scorpio sun, but I have a strong Scorpio house. So I have something that I call cosmic strategies that I do every fortnight. I did one the other day here. Yeah, yesterday. Gosh, time. So that's like hashtag cosmic strategies. If you want to follow that, where I talk about how astrology can be good for you, how it's a good tool. I'm not trying to teach you astrology in itself, but actually, in what way can you use it? And as I said before, I don't work as I do not have like one off. If you want to work with me, it's minimum a 3 package that runs over a month because I always go deep. Lots of Scorpio, the deep gal. I also have a newsletter on LinkedIn. Next week in the skies, and I am now changing it a little around because I tried something here for 4 weeks and realized that no, this is not for me. So it's also this changing and finding out what to do. So those are those 2 things that are going on here on LinkedIn. I think we can like stop there. And if you just want to follow me, just click follow and yeah, I do updates and I talk about personal development and I say uncomfortable things. that people feel uncomfortable about, and I take my grandmother's finger and just poke it in the eye and say, look at this thing here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, we really have to go now, but thank you so much for watching this either live or in the replay. Stella, thank you so much for playing along and accepting my invitation. We had a lot of fun. And folks, so if you want to know more, if you want to connect directly with Stella, so you know what to do. Just click on the link and you will get there. So until next week, folks, enjoy a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.